chicken Caesar wrap. And we're gonna do homemade Caesar dressing with that as well, and homemade croutons if that part was optional. So if you guys are doing that, we're gonna start with that first. Is anyone not making homemade croutons? Or is everyone doing it themselves? Okay, it looks like we all are, so that's good. Oh, I see we got a lot of bread over there at the Jetsons. Perfect. Okay. So the first thing we're going to want to do is preheat the oven to 375. Because these are just going to have a quick bake in the oven to get crispy. I'm just going to use my toaster oven here since it's a small plate that we, or a small pan that we need. So we just want to preheat that, and then we're going to have whatever bread you're using. I suggested sourdough because that's usually my favorite type of bread to use. So I got a nice sourdough loaf. So we're just going to want to slice maybe 1, 2, 3, depending on how many croutons or how large your bread is first. Let me just do one thing here and then we can do that. Okay. So I have my bread here now. I'm using a serrated bread knife to cut the bread. And when you remember, whenever you hold any piece of food that you're cutting, you want to make sure your fingers aren't out. You want to claw grip it so that all of your fingers are protected when you have the knife. So I'm just going to do a few slices of the sourdough. You don't want them to be too thick because since we're putting it in a wrap, you don't want any part of the salad to be super big and clunky. We want it a little bit on the smaller side since it all is going to be contained in a wrap. So I'm going to do 3 slices just to be safe. Because there's nothing wrong with leftover croutons. And then I'm going to take each slice I have here. Depending on how big your bread is, will depend how many cubes you make out of each piece. Like I said, because we don't want them to be huge, what I'm going to do, and this is even a pretty small piece of bread, I'm going to cut 3 rows here and then cube it from there. So I have nice little cubes about this size. So then that way, and when we make our wrap eventually, they're not super big and hard to bite when it comes to everything else. So I'm going to do the exact same thing to my other 2 pieces of bread. For anyone who's just joining us now, we've preheated our oven to 375, and we are just making small cubes out of our bread if you're making homemade croutons. I had mentioned that we don't want them to be super big because we're putting all of this stuff into a wrap eventually. You don't want any part of the salad to be super big or clunky so that it's easier to eat. So I'm taking my bread, slicing it into 3 strips, and then just cutting cubes from there. So I definitely will have some extra, but like I said, there's nothing wrong with extra croutons. So once everyone has those all sliced up, just give me a thumbs up and we will go on from there. All right, I see 1. That's great.
Can you show the size of your cubes again?
Yes. So they're like, I would say this is maybe like between like 1/4 to 1/3 of an inch. Not very good at predicting those measurements usually. All right, I see Carolyn with the thumbs up. That's great. Thank you. And in the meantime, if you guys are all set cutting, you can just get your pan ready. I lined mine with foil. You could do foil, parchment, whatever you have, whatever's easier. All right, how's everyone doing? Does anyone need any more time? Are we okay? Okay, perfect. So now you're just gonna take those cubes and put them onto that prepared pan. You want to spread them out. Nice, make sure none of them are really like overlapping. That way, you know, they'll all get evenly crispy. And then this next part is just really to the eye. We're just gonna drizzle on some olive oil. No specific measurement, really, just kind of eyeball it. And that olive oil will help them get crispy in the oven. And then just salt and pepper to taste as well. Nothing crazy, just to give them a little bit of flavor. I'm doing like a few scrunches of each. And that should be good. Once you've done that, you can just toss them so that every little crevice of the bread is coated. And then just spread them out again. So they all have that nice golden look to them with the olive oil on them, and I can see the pepper. So that's perfect. I'm just gonna wash my hands quick. Okay, does everyone have their croutons seasoned, oiled, ready to go in the oven? Okay. I see a few thumbs up. We'll just give it another minute. Perfect. Okay. So now we're just gonna throw those into that 375 oven for about, we can start with 10 minutes and see how that goes from there. Sometimes you might have to add a little more time, depending on how crispy you like them, but we'll do it for 10 minutes. And then once everyone's timers go off, we can check. So set a timer for 10 minutes. And then we can go on to the next step. All right, and I'll just give everyone a minute to get situated. Clean off your cutting board if you need to. I had some breadcrumbs on mine. Looks like everyone's just finishing up getting those in the oven, so that is perfect. And then you want to make sure you have your romaine lettuce handy. So that's what we're going to be working with next. Is everyone ready to start with the lettuce, or do we need another 30 seconds or so to just get everything situated? I see thumbs up. Looks like everyone's good. Okay. So the way that we're going to cut this lettuce is we're gonna make it kind of like into shreds. Again, like I said, we want all of the components of this salad to be a bit smaller than usual. That way we can stuff it into the wrap really good and it doesn't make it any harder to eat. So I used 1 head of romaine. This recipe in general is only to make 1 wrap, but there definitely will be some leftover salad, which is totally fine. So I'm taking about half of my leaves from this romaine head and I'm just kind of stacking them on top of one another so that we can cut them all at the same time and just flattening that raised part a little bit so it's just easier to cut them. All right, I'm gonna do 1 more. Okay, so I have them layered together.
Being washed?
What was that?
Does the lettuce need to be washed or do we wash it after cutting?
You could do either. I washed it beforehand, but you can always cut it and then wash after, whatever's easier for you guys. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna trim the very edges off of both sides, just because sometimes they have those little brown edges, which might not taste as good, but we don't want to take too much off. Okay. So the first cut that we're gonna do, so I have these all layered, and then we're gonna want to take our knife and carefully slice. I'm going to stick it in between my hand above the knife so I can hold both sides down. And we're going to carefully make 1 slice down the middle of all of those leaves so that now I have 2 each of all of those romaine leaves, right? Then very carefully, trying to keep the lettuce together, we're just going to make very small, and you can kind of scrunch it together with your hand with the claw grip, just very small slices. So you can see they're kind of coming out with like long shreds. So I just keep going back and forth, the same motion. I'm going to stop for a sec so I can get my lettuce together. Rip that one because I missed it. Move this to the side. I'm going to bring it together so it's easier for me to cut. And then again, very small slices. We're using that rocking motion that we've done in class before. So you see, now we have that kind of shredded lettuce that you might see in like a sandwich shop, or that you can even buy. You can buy the lettuce pre-shredded too, but sometimes it's fun to cut it yourself. So we have this, and then I'm just gonna add this into a big mixing bowl. And this is actually probably enough for 1 wrap, but we'll cut the rest anyway, so that there's some leftovers. So now I'm just going to do that exact same thing. Again, I'm going to take the rest of my leaves and I'm going to stack them one on top of the other. I'm going to flatten them as I go. So you can hear that crunch when you flatten them. The ends off. And we'll just do that same thing 1 more time. Is everyone doing okay with that technique? Good, okay. So I'm just going to work on that last half of my lettuce. add the rest of that into my bowl as well. And then once everyone has all of their lettuce chopped, just give me a thumbs up and we will go on to the next step. Caitlin, I see you. Great. Carolyn, I see you. Okay, I see you. That's awesome. I'm going to give it a few more seconds just to get everything together. And then we'll work on our chicken. All right. So now what we're going to do is shred our chicken. You can use your hands or you can use 2 forks, depending on whatever's easiest for you or whatever you're comfortable with. I just took some chicken breast from a rotisserie chicken because that's super easy to do. But you could always use cooked chicken. If you just buy chicken breast, cook it, and then shred it yourself. There's many ways to do this. So I just have some pieces from my rotisserie chicken. And again, going on that small bite theme, I'm just going to use my fingers and kind of just start pulling the chicken apart so that they're all like not too big, not too small. They're like similar to the size of the shredded lettuce that we just made. So I'm just going to go through my chicken, and then we're going to need about 1 cup of the shredded chicken. Right? Or yes, 1 cup. And if you are using rotisserie chicken like me, just be careful of any bones that may arise. I just found one. And my timer for my croutons just went off. I'm going to check that briefly. And see what's going on there. So my croutons are looking pretty nice and golden. I like the color that they have, so I'm going to take them out now. If you like the way that yours look too, you can do that, or you can always add, I'd say maybe do 2 minutes if you want them a little crispier, and then check them again and see how they look after that. So I'm just going to take these out of the oven and let them sit for a little bit. And then just go back to shredding my chicken. Another way that I've actually seen people shred chicken that I've been meaning to try myself, that I just haven't been able to yet. I think it might work better with freshly cooked chicken because it would be hot. But I've seen people use hand mixers. And you just put the cooked chicken breast in a bowl and then just turn the hand mixer on as if you're making a batter of some sort. And it shreds the chicken pretty well, it looks like. So I need to try that. If anyone has tried that, let me know. I'm almost at a cup, it looks like, so I'll do a few more pieces. Do this big one, and that should be good. And if there's pieces that are a little bit longer, you can always just lightly rip them in half too. That's very easy to do. All right, so that's all my chicken. I'm just gonna add that directly into the bowl with the lettuce. So now I have my bowl with my lettuce and my chicken. So once everyone is all set with their chicken, just give me a thumbs up and we'll keep going. If you need more time, totally fine, take your time.
We lost power for a few minutes and it turned off our oven, so we don't know how much time we have left on the croutons. How are you on
Mine
yours?
just went off about like 2 minutes ago. I liked the way they look, so I took them out. Mine were like a nice golden brown color. So as long as they look a little toasted and you like how they are, yeah, that looks totally fine. So that's perfect. All right, I see some shredding still, so I'll give it another minute or so.
Should there be about an even amount of chicken and lettuce or
I
more?
usually say there should be a little bit less chicken. We aimed for a cup of the shredded chicken, so mine is kind of like, you see, it's like resting on top of the lettuce, but definitely not as much as the lettuce. Unless you want that. If you want that, then go for it. And if you are done with the chicken, just in the meantime, get yourself ready to start making some dressing. All right, how is everyone doing? Do we need any more time for the chicken? I see some thumbs up. Okay, I think we should be all right. If anyone does need more time, please just let me know and we will hold off for a second. But if not, then we will go ahead with the dressing. So the first thing that we are going to need is our mixing bowl for the dressing. And at one point in this procedure, we're going to be needing to whisk and pour at the same time. Unless you have someone to help you, then you don't have to do them both at the same time. But I'm just going to give you a little trick if you do ever end up having to do that. Because I'll have to do that right now as well. Because sometimes the bowl likes to turn with the whisk as you whisk, and then it gets a little annoying because when you do this, if you can see, my bowl's spinning. So what I just did is I soaked a wet paper towel in water, and I squoze it out so that it's not dripping wet, but it's damp. And I'm just going to take this and put it underneath the bowl. which is going to make it more stable. So that when I turn, whisk, no movement at all. So if you ever find that you need to use both your hands for something, that's a great trick you can use. You can also use a kitchen towel if you have that. I'm just going to use this paper towel here. So the first thing that we need to add, you can either do a teaspoon of anchovy paste or finely chopped anchovies. Or if you are not wanting to use anchovies, you can use 2 dashes of Worcestershire sauce, which is what I'm going to do. If anyone needs a vegan recipe of this, Worcestershire sauce does still have anchovies in it, but there are a few brands that make it without anchovies. So if you need a vegan version, you can always find that Worcestershire sauce that is anchovy free. So I'm just going to do 2 light dashes. It comes out kind of quick. So just like that. I don't want too much, just a little bit, because we can always add more at the end. What is everyone using today? Is anyone using anchovies or is everyone using Worcestershire?
My son's kind of sensitive to spicy stuff, so we're gonna try using soy sauce.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a great idea. Let me know how that tastes at the end. I'm curious, but I think that's a great substitute.
Okay, we can do that, right, Jay?
And we're doing Worcestershire sauce. We can never say the word.
I know, it's very hard to say and spell, so it's a bit of a tongue twister. Okay, I see someone else is doing soy sauce too. Cool.
Trying the anchovy paste.
Okay. All right, so we got a variety going on. That's great. So does everyone have whatever they are using added, whether it's soy sauce, anchovy, or Worcestershire? All right, perfect. So now we're just going to add 1 clove of garlic. You can either finely chop it, you can grate it, or you can press it through your garlic press. That's usually the easiest thing for me to do, so that's what I'm going to do. So I just put my garlic clove in here. I'm just going to press it into that bowl with the Worcestershire. I'm just going to carefully use my knife to get off all of that excess that doesn't come off. Scrape that into my bowl. So once everyone's got their garlic added, let me know. We'll do thumbs up and then we will add the next one. All right, I see 1 thumbs up already. Good, give it another few seconds. And then just a reminder, if anyone has not taken their croutons out yet, just double check on those to make sure that they're doing okay. They should be done by now if they needed some more time in the oven. I see another thumbs up. Awesome. All right, so Caitlin, I see you. Great. Okay, so now we are going to add 2 tablespoons of Dijon mustard. So very simple, just going to measure the 2 tablespoons and put that into the exact same bowl. That's 1. I'm going to need to get another spoon to help me scoop this out. And then one more. And this will make a good amount of dressing too, so there will definitely be some extra of this that you can use for other recipes. It should last up to about like a week and a half in the fridge. So you can definitely save the rest and use it to make it more salads, or you can use it to marinate chicken. Whatever works. And then whenever everyone has their mustard added, just give me another thumbs up and we will add our mayo. I see you, Caitlin. I see you, Melissa. I see you, Carolyn. I see the last one. Okay, great. So now we're just going to do the exact same thing of mayo. So just 2 tablespoons of mayo into the bowl as well. I'm going to use my spoon to help me out again. All right. And we are almost there. So once you've got your mayo added, one more thumbs up. I see thumbs up. Great, great, great. Everyone's doing a really great job so far. All right. Melissa, I see you. Perfect. Okay, so now we're just going to do lemon juice. So the first thing that I'm going to do is squeeze. I see the last thumbs up. Perfect. Thank you so much. So I'm going to just squeeze my lemon fully into a separate bowl and then measure the 2 tablespoons from there. That way I can also take any seeds out ahead of time because I got a lot of seeds in this one. So I'm just squeezing the whole lemon into the bowl. And this should usually equal about a perfect 2 tablespoons. And then I'm just going to take out any of those seeds that I have in there. So that those don't end up in the dressing. Okay. So once you have all your seeds out, if there were any, you can just add those 2 tablespoons in. Just going to re-fold my napkin so it's clean. All right. So now I'm just pouring the lemon juice to measure the 2 tablespoons. There's 1 and perfectly fits 2. So that's a good little trick to know as well. So usually, depending on the size of the lemon, but usually you'll get about 2 tablespoons of lemon juice from 1 lemon. So that's always good to know. And then once everyone has everything added, give me one more thumbs up and then we can start mixing. I see 2, I see 3, I see 4. Perfect. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is just whisk these ingredients together. All right. So this is not the tricky part yet. So I'm just going to take my whisk just until everything's combined. And it should be that nice creamy color. So you see mine's a very pale yellow. It's a little bit darker than a mayonnaise because of the Dijon mustard in there. Everyone's doing a great job. Do you need all the ingredients of the dressing or the entire recipe? I'm just going off a message in the chat. The dressing. Okay. So the first things we add to the dressing is there's 3 options here. You can do 1 teaspoon of either anchovy paste or finely chopped anchovies. And I can type this out for you too. Or you can do 2 dashes of Worcestershire sauce. So the anchovies are optional. They're not everyone's favorite taste. And I had mentioned earlier, there is still anchovies in Worcestershire sauce, but if you're looking for a vegan way to make Caesar salad and you want to use Worcestershire, there are a few brands that make their Worcestershire sauce without anchovies. So that's an option as well. Okay, so that's first. And then you have 1 clove of garlic, either minced, finely chopped, or grated, whatever is easier. I have a garlic press, so I usually just do that because that's very simple. Then we have 2 tablespoons of Dijon mustard, 2 tablespoons of mayo, or you can use Greek yogurt as well. That will just up protein content of it a little bit. So that's another great option. And you could also use a dairy-free Greek yogurt if you're looking for something dairy-free. The mayo is dairy-free as well, but you could also do the dairy-free Greek yogurt. And then you could do, and then it's 2 teaspoons of fresh lemon juice, which is equivalent to about the juice of 1 lemon. And then our last ingredient that we will all start to work on together now is a 1/3 cup of olive oil. All right, so everyone has everything whisked together, right? We're good? Okay, great. So we're just going to measure that 1/3 cup of olive oil. I'm just pouring mine right into a liquid measuring cup. And then we will start to whisk. Once everyone is ready, let me know. Give me a thumbs up. I see the Judsons. I see Caitlin. I see Carolyn. I'm waiting on one more. I see them measuring right now, so that's perfect. And for this next step that I was briefly talking about earlier, if you are cooking with someone, this is a great way to have someone designated as the whisker and someone designated as the pourer. So that way you guys can work together to do it at the same time. I obviously will be demonstrating it by doing them both, which is why I used that wet paper towel trick so my bowl doesn't move around. So you can always try that too. If someone wants to try it out, feel free. So what we're going to do, whoever your pourer is going to very, very slowly stream the olive oil into the dressing as the whisker whisks. So the whisker is going to start, and then the pourer can begin to slowly trickle that olive oil in. See, it's not going fast at all, because I want to make sure I'm getting it evenly incorporated before I add everything in at once. So very lightly stream. And whoever the whisker is can try and do it a little quicker too. That'll help get that creamy consistency that we're looking for by adding the olive oil. Feel free to take breaks too. If you're the whisker, this is an arm workout. So if you need to take a break in the middle, you can, as I am right now. And you can see that too, the olive oil is actually helping to thick it up a bit by whisking like this. With the oil, we're able to thicken. It's still loose, but it's definitely thicker than when it was before we added the oil. So I'm just going to add my last little bit in now. And then finish with a whisk for 30 seconds or so, just to make sure everything is incorporated. So now we have our dressing. It's nice and incorporated. You can tell it's a little bit thicker, but not too thick. And then if you want, you can give it a taste, which is what I'm going to do right now. It's nice and lemony. I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to mine just to season it a little bit. You don't have to if you don't want to. I'm just going to do 2 scrunches of each. All right. So once everyone has their dressing all done, give me one more thumbs up. We'll assemble. And we are almost there. Everyone's doing a great job. I see you, Melissa. I see you, Caitlin. Great, great, great. I see Carolyn. I see everyone else. Okay, amazing. So now we have our bowl with our shredded lettuce and our chicken. We are going to add as much Caesar dressing as you would like. So if you like your salad with a lot of dressing, you can add more. If you don't like it very dressing-y, you can always add a little bit less. I'm gonna start with a little bit and then go from there because you can always add more, but you can't really take out. So I'm just gonna grab a pair of tongs. I like to mix salads with tongs. And I'm just gonna pour a little bit of dressing over the top. I'll start with that. And then I'm just gonna take my tongs and mix and see how that looks. And for now, I think that's good. I might add a little bit more once we add everything else. And if you've found the best amount of dressing for you, you can add as much as you would like of your croutons and either shredded or grated Parmesan. I'm using shaved, shredded, so it's like little pieces. So I'm just gonna add a handful of that in there. And my croutons. And then I'm just gonna lightly mix again one more time until all of that is together. And then I may add a little more dressing at the end of that, depending on how this looks. Might do a little more. Okay, perfect. So this is what my salad looks like all together. You can see the pieces of chicken, you can see the croutons, you can see the shaved cheese. It's a perfect mix of everything. So once everyone has their salads all set and ready to go, give me one more thumbs up and we are almost at the end. We have 2 more steps left. That's it. Taste testing a crouton. That's very good. I'm gonna have one more. Oh, your salad looks so good. It looks great. Melissa, I see your thumbs up. What is your guys' name? I only see on your Zoom, it says Fire Tablet. But I want to make sure I know what your name is. You can just type it to me in the chat too, if it's easier. I know sometimes it's hard to change the name. All right, how is everyone doing? Are we all set? Okay. So now if you remember, for anyone who came to breakfast quesadilla class. Oh, Sophia and Jaden. Okay, great. Hi, Sophia and Jaden. Jaden, your salad looks great. So for anyone who came to breakfast quesadilla class, if you remember, we heated our tortilla first because that made it more pliable. And especially when it comes to wraps, that's really, really helpful. And it helps it to not break when you're rolling it really. So we're gonna take we're gonna do the same method. We're gonna take a pan and heat it over medium-low heat. It doesn't really need to be too hot at all. We're just kind of warming it so that it moves and bends. I mean, they are very pliable, but they tend to be, they have a tendency to break if they're not warm. So we're just gonna warm it up quick. So I'm honestly not even gonna wait for the pan to be fully heated up. I'm just gonna throw the tortilla on there, let it sit for a few seconds, and then just flip it, and we'll flip it and continue to flip it until it's warm. You can also always do this in the microwave as well. If you just do it for like 20 to 30 seconds, that should be good enough. So I'm just gonna get a spatula out. And every 30 seconds or so, I'm just gonna take my spatula under there and just flip the tortilla just until we can see that it is warmed through. We don't need it to be hot. We don't need it to be anything crazy. We just want it to have a little bit of heat to it so it folds and bends a little bit easier. All right, I'm gonna flip it one more time. And then probably once more again, and then that should be good. Okay. This feels warm enough to me, so I'm gonna take it off. Is everyone ready to start building? If you have your wrap in front of you and you're ready, just give me a quick thumbs up and we will start the folding process. I see Judson's, I see Caitlin, I see Carolyn. I see Sophia and Jaden. Kay's ready. Okay, great. So this is a little bit methodical in how we want to do this. So we don't want to add too little, we don't want to add too much. So I'm going to use my tongs and I'm going to place some salad. You want to make sure you're putting the salad on the end that's closest to you, okay? So I'm placing that in front of me and you want it to be in the middle. All right, I should be able to fit one more tong full. Okay, that should be good. So I did about 3 tongfuls of salad. Okay, hold on, I'll be right back. My computer's dying. I just want to plug it in first so I don't lose everyone just at the end. There we go. So does everyone have their salad on their wrap? Okay. Looks like it. So the next step is you're going to slide your hands under the two sides of the wrap, okay? So you're sliding under and then you're folding over so that they touch and then bring them out a little bit so they're not touching. So you can see there's my two sides of the wrap and then that salad in the middle, okay? Then I'm gonna take my thumbs, because my thumbs are free, and I'm gonna slide my thumbs over under the end of the wrap that's closest to me so I can start folding this way, okay? So my hands are here, I lift my thumbs up, I slide them under the edge of the wrap, and then I'm gonna start rolling towards, or rolling away from me, excuse me. And at the end, I'm just gonna tuck those pieces in and continue to roll away from me. And you wanna leave the seam side down on the bottom. And there we go. Does anyone need to see that one more time? I can undo my wrap and do it again. I see some pretty good looking wraps. Caitlin, those look great. Jaden, that looks great. Does anyone else have a wrap completed? Perfect. Okay, so now what you can do is you can just cut them down the middle so that you have two pieces. I'm going to cut mine diagonally. And then you have your chicken Caesar salad wrap. Does anyone have any questions at all? I think that was a fun recipe. And before we go, for whoever would like to be in the picture, I would love if we all hold up our wraps or salads and we can take a quick picture because everyone did such a great job. That looks amazing. Okay. I'm going to take a quick picture, okay? So if you have a completed wrap or a completed salad, hold it up for me, all right? All right, ready? Hold on. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. All right, guys. If there's no questions at all, thank you so much for coming. I had such a great time, as I always do. I hope everyone enjoyed this class. I hope everyone has leftovers. I definitely do. So you've got some meals to come in the future. You've got some dressing in the future. Like I had said, for that extra dressing, that should last in the fridge about a week to a week and a half. So you just want to make sure you use it up by then. Again, look out for emails, check the Eventbrite page. Our next class is coming up in July. It'll be with me again. But thank you guys again so much. I love cooking with you all, and I will see you guys next month, okay?
Okay, bye.
Bye, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.